everyone, we are going to be doing some of this page today. This is from Johanna Basford's Magical World. Now this is actually a brand new copy I've got of the book because I've done this page already, but Linda commissioned me to do it for her, so I'm going to put it together as a series for you all, particularly for Linda, so thank you for that, Linda. I wasn't too keen on how I did the page before, so it's been lovely to have the opportunity to do it again. We're going to be using Polychromos pencils because that's what Linda requested I use, and if you want to commission a page, you can go onto my Ko-fi and do so there. But we are going to start colouring this one. I think I will start with these, the two toadstools down here, and then work from there. I'm thinking about what I did before with it, which wasn't a video, just in case you were wondering. Let's just try and move everything. I've got a book under here. It's actually a copy of Lost Ocean because this page is quite, I don't really want that to be off the page. There we go. So let's start with these gill parts here. I'm going to use, let me have a look. I think I'm going to use the nougat. I like them being brown. They see, it seems to be the right colour. So here's the nougat. And what I'm going to do, which side shall I start? I think it's easier starting this side. It's slightly awkward for my hand, but I'm going to put a dark layer along this bottom line. Oh, I hope you can see. So really, I'm going back and forth a little bit to get quite a solid layer. It's trying to be equal to there, but that's gone a bit messy. I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. So it's a little bit awkward angle for my hand, but I'm trying my best. So again, going to go back over it with a sharper pencil. Yes, when I did it the first time, because there are stars in the picture, now I'm going to start to do a little less now and basically fade it towards this line. I did it as a sort of nighttime with a really dark blue background. And although it made the mushrooms really pop because they were red and orange, so the dark blue just made them look really bright, it didn't quite look the way I'd hoped. So it's rather nice having the opportunity to do it again. So really emphasise that base line there and make it lighter as you come up here. I haven't done a particularly good job. Try harder with the next one. So yes, I've got a different idea for the background, but we won't be doing that for a while, certainly not today. I don't know how long this is going to take. It's quite a big, detailed picture, really. I was thinking it might sort of take 4 videos, but I don't know if it's going to take a few more than 4 videos, but we'll see. So there's the next one. Still not as I'd hoped. I'm going to work round and then I might just do a bit of a darker pencil on these edges that I want to look really dark, just to really emphasise that, but I'm just going to move on through now. So I hope everyone's good today. I've already been out. I had a bit of a sort out on the top of my son's wardrobe, still sorting out, and had some board games, and I put oh, I just realised my light isn't on. The sun's gone in. There we go. Sorry. It was so bright in here that even though the blind's shut, the sun's coming through. So there we go. It's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, I was sorting out the top. I'm still sorting out. So we're looking at the board games. We got rid of, what was it, 4 or 5. But they're so big and bulky. It was quite a lot to take to the charity shop. There was like a marble run. There was a couple of board games, Cash Flow and Cash Flow 2. There was some sort of Edward de Bono thing that my husband's had since I met him. And Jenga, which is quite a fun game actually. But you know, it's just like I'm just trying to make some space. So it's like we haven't had that out for, you know, at least 5 years, if not 10. So we did keep, my one son said he wanted to keep the battleships because it was a nice set. It's fair enough. And we kept the Scrabble and cards, you know, playing cards and Uno cards, and we got a few other little games. What else did we keep? Oh, we have this Monopoly. Yeah, the game that you can fall out with everyone playing Monopoly. It's hugely competitive in my family, but anyway, yes. But anyway, it's, you know, it's meant there's not such a big pile of stuff, and his room looks really nice and neat now. I tidied his bookcase and everything else. It looks nice, so that's good. I've got to do my other son's bedroom with him. We'll probably make a start tomorrow. So that's, his room is much more challenging because he's got the attic. Stuff gets dumped in there. Poor boy. I did put away a few of his shirts. I'm going to get a darker brown now. I think I'm going to use the burnt umber. Going to make sure it's really sharp, and I'm just going to go along those bits that I want to be extra dark. So right along the bottom here. Yeah, I'd ironed his work shirts because he'd worn them for his work experience week, and they were hanging up in my bedroom actually on the door because they were a little bit damp when I ironed them, so I was just airing them. They're nice and dry now after a really hot spell of weather, so I put them in my other son's wardrobe because there's no wardrobe in the attic. But my other son doesn't really use the wardrobe, the hanging side. It's the only hanging bit we've got that's long. So it's got suits and dresses and all sorts of stuff in it. But anyway, he doesn't mind. It's all, you know, as long as it's shut, door shut. So it's all good. I don't know whether it's the same for all boys, but my boys just don't really have that many clothes. They don't really care about clothes. So it's all fine. So that was all good. So yeah, I took, and because the games were quite bulky, I had to take it in 3 bags worth of stuff. There we go, that's much better. I don't know how much you can see, but I'm much happier with that. Now we have the top part. Now I like to do it, I'm thinking maybe we'll do it in a brown, which sounds a little bit boring. We'll do a sort of coppery type thing, I think. And then the flowers, we can do nice bright colours and it'll stand out more. So I'm going to start, I think, with my darkest brown. I think I'm going to use the burnt sienna because if I'm going to go coppery, this is more of an orangey brown. And we'll use this at the bottom and then just fade it upwards. So quite heavy down here, so layering up and then less layers as we go upwards. Like that. It's going to be a bit fiddly, isn't it? But we'll get there. Just got to take your time, have a sharp pencil. And that's the joy of the Polychromos is you can sharpen them really nicely. Oh, still managed to go over the edge, but yeah, that's me. If you do that, you can erase it, or you can just let it be. Depends how much it is, whether I erase it or not, and what colour I'm going to be doing, where I've gone over. Sometimes I just can't be bothered. So I'm missing a bit of tennis recording this, but I can't fit everything in, so I'm sort of prioritising. I think I'm going to use the burnt ochre, see how that sits. Right over the top, and then extend upwards. Oh, I need to erase. Yeah, because I I didn't get up particularly early. Let my son have a lie-in, and husband. And then I had to pop out. I mean, it's good because I get my walk, which I need. So, and because the tennis starts at 11, it's so early. I just can't fit everything in, so I'm not watching it for a bit. But the coverage hadn't started when I came in. It was a bit rubbish, actually. They hadn't even listed some of the matches that I wanted to watch, so I don't know what they were playing at the BBC. But what they'd done was they'd listed the Wimbledon qualifying matches twice, and they hadn't listed the Wimbledon. They'd listed the Wimbledon qualifying twice, and they hadn't listed Eastbourne at all. I'm more interested in Eastbourne at this stage. But anyway, it's all good. I'll catch up with it later when I'm editing. Later, I can watch them. But I do find that if I watch too much in advance of Wimbledon, it starts to get a bit too much, you know. So that's okay. We're just sort of doing these little bits in here where it's a bit complicated, or detailed is the word. But yeah, I had a nice walk. It's forecast to be the only sort of dry day of the week, I think. But there was a huge black cloud hanging over me as I walked. I don't think it was anything to do with me. I think I'm going to go to an orange. Blending it in is going to be interesting. Is this the right cadmium orange? No, cadmium orange. And I'm going to go over all of it because I think otherwise, if I just put a bit here, it's going to look weird. It needs to blend in with everything else and sit on top. You can see here it doesn't really show up, but it will work better as we have less intense colour moving up here. So maybe it will end up looking a bit orange rather than bronzy, but that's okay. Yeah, so I wore my sun hat and the clouds came out and there's a huge black cloud. So I wasn't sure whether it was going to rain. I didn't have a Mac, but I thought, oh well, I'll be okay. But it didn't rain. And we can tone this orange down a little bit. I'm not sure if I want to or not though. I will decide in a bit. But I walked quite fast because I wanted to just get back. So I don't know how many steps I did going all the way into town. It was quite quietish around, but I popped in the grocery store, supermarket as well, because we opened our last packet of oats and I wanted to make sure that we didn't accidentally run out, because that's everyone has those for breakfast and everyone enjoys them. I'm just going to sharpen up, so I thought I'd better grab some more of those. I've got a few other bits, as you do when you're in the supermarket. You never just buy one thing. So that was fine. I have to sort of almost go, well, I go right past the door to get back, because the public footpath to get onto the canal goes right through the car park. So, right, that is that. But I think it's a bit too vibrant. You can leave it like that if you want. But I'm going to dull it down slightly. I'm just thinking with what? I think this will help. This is the light yellow ochre. It looks really orangey in camera, but it's more of a browny colour, and I'm hoping it will just knock it back just a tad. Yeah. Just to get rid of that sort of bright orange glow that's going on. There we are. And then I'm going to put this over everything like I did with the orange. It'll all start to come together. And trying to make sure I cover all the bits right up to the petal edges, which can be quite difficult. It's quite hard to see sometimes as well. But don't worry if you go over the lines. It happens to everybody, you know. I sometimes wonder if that's why people white out the lines, or why they first started doing it, because you know, they wanted to hide the fact they couldn't stay in them. Maybe not, but you know, maybe, who knows. There we go. Now what I am going to do now is to get my dark sepia, which is getting quite small, sharpen it to a really fine point. Let's put a little bit of shadow in here and there. So here's our dark sepia, and under these florals I want a bit of shadow. Sorry, you probably can't see. Go in this direction, I'll be able to reveal what I'm doing as I move my hand back. Oh, breaking my pencil, that's what I'm doing. It's unlike me to press that hard with a Polychromo. Sorry, concentration and no speaking. It's not very exciting, is it? There we go. I'm just doing the bits where I think the shadow would fall below. And I'm wondering if there'll be some shadow under these. I'm thinking if I just put a little bit here. So I've got it on its side, just to form like that. And then a bit under our snail. There he is. Okay. Now, where should we go from here? Let's do the florals. Let's do lots of brights. Let's just start with like this. This is fuchsia. It's going to clash with the orange. I need to just sharpen it. No, I don't. It's very sharp. I think I'm going to go here because it isn't so close to much of the orange. But by the time we've done a mix of various different colours, it won't hurt that it sort of clashes, because it'll just look right with the big bright mix. If you would rather, you could do these in the same colour as the mushroom, well, you know, oranges, yellows, something like that, so they all blend in. But I think brights is the way to go. But, you know, as I say, it's up to you. Next flower colour I'm going to do in cobalt blue. I need to sharpen it though. Cobalt blue. Some people aren't a fan of blue flowers. You can do whatever colours you wish. Do all your favourites if you want. I know some people get a bit scared about colouring with their favourite colours because they think they'll wear out. Maybe they can't afford to replace them. I can totally understand that, but I would say we should be living life to the full. Just grab your favourites and go with them, you know. And if they run out and you can't afford to replace them, you'll have to use an alternative. And you might end up finding that that alternative turns out to be your new favourite. This is the manganese violet. I'm going to do this one here. I do have some pencil sets where, particularly they might Arteza Premium set, the white has barely been used. It's like almost the original length, and yet some of the greens I've had to chuck because they were like this big, and the pinks are really big, and some of the blues, because I don't use those as much. The purples are tiny, the black is tiny, even the yellow is quite small because in my opinion there's only one decent yellow. I am picking colours, I'm not just yapping, believe me. I think a red, let's go with a dark red because then it will stand out from that fuchsia pink. This is the middle cadmium red, and we'll put it over here so it's a little bit further away. But yes, some of my sets do have quite small certain colours. But I am lucky to have a lot of sets, so I don't tend to... These are the ones I wear down the most, Polychromos. I just use them so much because they're my friend, they're familiar, I've used them for almost the longest. I think we need an orange. I'm going to go for a really dark orange. This is the dark cadmium orange. I'm going to use it in the middle here. Oh, that's a blunt. Ugh. Let's give that a sharpen. So yes, I tend to use them more than anything else. And I do replace them as they run out because I make so many videos with them. I need to have all the colours, I think. But I could use alternatives. Some of them are getting quite small. I need to actually do a bit of a stock take and see what I need. We have one left. Now it feels to me that we need yellow, but I'm going to be doing the centres in yellow. So let's grab something else. What haven't we used apart from yellow? Everything really, haven't we? And green. We could do a dull, we could do this pink. I know it's right next to the other pink, but this is the dark flesh. I think it is the salmon pink, so it's really different to this one, so I think it's fine. Now for these I am just putting more layers on near the centre and less to the edge. It's a really simple way of colouring the petals. There we go. Now the flower centres I'm going to do in several shades of yellow. I'm going to start with the cadmium yellow, and I'm going to put this around the edge. We're doing them all the same because the petals are all different. I want some things the same, or else it's going to look a little bit messy. And I can't reach it with my right hand. There we go. The light cadmium yellow for the rest. I'm trying to leave the centres paler or almost white, but we'll see. It's quite difficult with the yellow to actually see what you've done. So there we go. Now our leaves. I was thinking if I want to do these all the same as well. I want to do a mid sort of green, and I'm just going to grab this permanent green. I find this shade goes with nearly everything, which is nice. Again, I'm just going to fade it towards the tip and work my way around all of these petals, leaves. Yes, I do get to the time sometimes when I just can't think of the right word. It's good doing the crosswords though, it helps you. Although often the words are just so obscure, they're words that, although I've sort of heard of them, they're not words I would ever use. I'm just going to sharpen it in my everyday vocabulary. So I don't know how useful it really is, you know. So it is a bit tricky to know for sure. Now I feel like this mushroom is almost our focal point of the whole picture, apart from obviously the hair behind it. So I feel that it's sort of important to spend more time maybe on it than maybe other bits, but we'll see how our time pans out. Now we have these two mushrooms sitting on the top here, and I'm having a little think about what to do with those. I think I'll just get the stems covered in a little bit of grey. This is warm grey 3. I'm just going to do a bit of grey here to start with. There we go. And I'm going to put a bit of brown on it as well. Whoops, I'm going to use the nougat that we used for the girls down here. Now I'm not going to just splat it all on there. although it might end up looking like that. What I'm going to do with it sharpened is put a little more here at the top, and then maybe a little bit more on each side, like that, and leave it a little bit lighter in the middle. It's going to be tricky with this little one. There we go. So the stems actually look a little bit brown rather than grey, because we've got this sort of whole brown theme, well, you know, coppery colour going on. And the tops, I know, we'll use a terracotta. That might work quite nicely. Give it a sharpen. And what I'm going to do is go over both of them lightly, so holding it on its side really. Perhaps I shouldn't have sharpened it, might be easier blunt. Just run your pencil all over to get a light layer. Some people build up layers this fine for everything they colour. I don't know how they have the patience. Certainly not me. Now we're going to add some shape to these by putting a dark line either side and just gently bringing it in towards the middle. Do this for each one of these little pieces of our umbrella shaped mushroom. It just adds a little bit of shape and it makes it look a little bit different rather than just doing it flat. But you can just do it flat if that feels easier or more natural, or you think it just looks better. You know, I don't think it will make a huge difference. Now under here, this is going to be our darkest bit here, where we're going to have some shadow there. And then I'm going to go over it again and then just gently do a little more coming out towards the edge. Like that. I'm not going to do these sections because it's underneath, so we want it to look different so we can differentiate between the outside and the inside, and we're going to do exactly the same with this one. You might need to resharpen your pencil. I think mine's okay. Some pretty oak leaves there. It's interesting, when I colour mushrooms, I never worry too much about whether the colours are realistic or not. But when I colour leaves, I do. Why? I think it's probably because I know more about leaves. I see them more, see lots of different colour leaves. Whereas mushrooms and toadstools, I tend to only see ones that look grey, like the ones we eat. Those are the only type I really see. I occasionally see orange ones actually. Okay, let's move on down to the stem part and the door. So I think it would be quite nice to sort of have a stem that looks a bit like this. So I'm going to again start with the warm grey, and I'm going to go all over. It's going to take a little bit longer because we've got all these leaves to work around. She says colouring straight on top of one. But we'll get there. There we go. It takes a bit of concentration, but that's okay. Now, I have mentioned about the background. I have got something in my head for what to do for it, and in my opinion it's not too difficult. If you feel a little bit worried, don't. You can do it, but you can also simplify it if you feel that it is a bit too much. You know, the plan is to use a variety of colour, and if you could just use one or two colours if you think that's a little bit easier, but you'll understand what I mean once I do it, which won't be today. The plan is to get all the detailed work done first, and then work on the background later. So that is our base colour. And I am going to get a little bit of nougat like I did on these and put it on, but we want it quite light because we've got a bit of that in here, so we want it to look different. So I'm going to put a little bit on the edge and just very, very gently put a little bit further in like that. So I want this to look more grey than brown, but I just want to darken up those edges a little bit. There we go. And a little bit here as well. So I am wondering whether to put a little tiny, I am going to, bit of brown over everything. Just a touch, just to make it look a little bit more like a French grey rather than just a warm grey. That makes sense to you if you've used Prismacolor. And then I'm going to get a darker grey, warm grey 4. Give it a sharpen. We'll do a little bit more on the edge. I want to try and make it look a little bit more rounded by adding shadow in here by way of this darker colour. And I'm just going to fade it out like that. The same here. Don't be afraid of putting quite a thick layer there. You can fade it out quite quickly. And hopefully it will just give the impression that that bit of mushroom is catching, is in shadow. Get my son giggling. It's lovely to hear him. He's watching a video, I'm guessing, or a live stream. Around here. There we go. It's got just a tad more shape. I'm just going to get the lighter one again, the warm grey 3, to just go over a bit more, so it's sort of slightly tidied up, but we still want to sort of fade it off towards the middle. Just to sort of make sure that all the colour goes up to the edges of the leaves and that sort of thing. There we go. Now I think we need some colour. So let's do our leaves. Now I'm looking at the leaves and I think they're all the same leaf pattern. They look the same leaves. I'm trying to decide whether to do them the same as these, and I think I will, because it's on the same mushroom. So I'm going to use the permanent green in the same way I did here, so a little darker at the base and lighter at the tip. It's going to be a bit tricky on some of these little pieces, but just do your best. But you want to try and make more of an effort here so that we can help to emphasize that curve in the edge of our mushroom with this leaf work as well, like that. So you've got more layers here. There we go. Just working all around. Yeah, I was hoping it wouldn't be too sunny while I was out today, and I bought some new sunblock, and I thought I'd try it out. I put some on. I said to my husband, it's bound not to be sunny, because I put my sunblock on, but it was a little bit, but not. It probably wasn't really necessary to wear sunblock. It probably would be if I was out later in the day, but anyway, it's on. It's fine. I wore my big hat as well. I kept thinking, am I going to need to take my hat off and keep it dry in my bag? Is it going to rain? But it didn't. As I said, I don't think it's forecast today, but I haven't got any washing out or anything. I actually did my ironing first thing and put it all away because I was the first down to breakfast. I had breakfast, did a bit of the crossword, and then thought I would do the ironing and chat to people while they were coming down for breakfast. Missed my one son, he was late. Now I'm looking at this door frame and I can see it's got like, looks like it should be striped. So I'm thinking I might use the brown ochre for one stripe. I thought I'd try and match it back up with this top bit. So I'm going to use the more on the edges, sort of bring it in towards the middle gently, so we've got a lighter bit in the centre. It's quite hard to show you that. I'm going to sharpen it. My pencil is so short. As I said before, I need to have a sort through and see what I've got with regards to replacements to have some bigger ones for you and make a little shopping list for coloured pencil shop. Like that and that. Looks like it could be red and white like a candy cane. It's not going to quite match our sort of nature colours though, is it? I wonder if there'll be many toad storehouses in Johanna's new book. You know, she's doing all the flowers, but you know, I think there'll be some, don't you? Now I'm going to use the terracotta for the other stripe, which I'm going to just sharpen a tad. I don't think we used it on the actual bit, but we used it on these, didn't we? Have I moved the book, or did you not see me colour that? Was it out of shot? I'm really sorry if it was. That's quite fun, isn't it? Like a stripy doorway. Now I've got to think about this window frame. Oh, I wonder where that went. I heard it land somewhere. I think it landed in the pencil tin. The window frame, I think I might do it in this colour. Now I'm going to do a little bit of extra on the window frame, and then we're going to do the door. So for the window frame, I want it to look slightly rounded like this frame does. So I'm going to use the burnt sienna, and I'm just going to put a little line around the edge. It needs to be sharp. You need to try and stay as close to the edge as you can. It's not easy. Like that, and then the same on the outside edge. It's easier down here on the bottom, it gets thinner. I'm ending up putting it on top of the black line, but I think it's okay. There we go, and then that looks very slightly rounded. It's a little bit tricky to have to do that if you don't want to. Now I'm going to keep this burnt sienna and do the door. I'm just going to put a sort of medium layer over the whole door, not the window bit. Try to do a vertical stripe like this if you can. It's a bit awkward in places, like going around here. There we go. And then if you can see the stripes, it doesn't matter. And we're doing a cross bit here. And what I want to do is put in a darker line around the frame to really emphasize the fact that the door is sort of tucked in a little bit, that our frame is sticking out really. Same under the windows, it looks like it's a little bit of a shadow going on and under there. And then the window frame, I'm going to do in the brown ochre. Now I would put the terracotta around it like I did the one up there. I'm going to give it a go. It's going to be fiddly. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to sharpen it again, terracotta. And sorry, I waved that around vaguely. Terracotta. It was the dark sepia I used, wasn't it? Not the terracotta. So I try that again. This time with, sorry, burnt sienna. It's actually going to show up, not dark sepia. That'd be a bit too dark. Would work though. That's better. We can see that now. There we go. Door handle. Have a little think. I'm going to grab the cadmium orange and do the curtains. I don't want them too bright and light, so I'm going to do it quite lightly. And I need a little bit of shadow. I'm not going to do it in this colour. I'm actually going to do the shadow in the burnt umber. So a little bit under here. And here, and a little bit there. And just around the edge here. If you put a little bit around the edge of the window, it just sits it back inside the frame. Just a tad. Like that. Now I feel that our plant pot's got to be terracotta. So that's what I'm going to do. Make it a little bit darker on the edges and lighter in the middle if I can. I don't want it to have a big shine in the middle, but just be a bit lighter. There we go. Then we've got our leaves. Now I feel again we should just be using this permanent green. You don't have to if you feel you want a bit of a change. You can use something else, but I'm making it quite dark so it doesn't look like it's exactly the same colour as all of these. There we go. Fiddle faddle. Now the door knocker I feel is probably better in a grey to look a bit metallic. What should we use? Might be better with a cold grey 4. And I'm just going to go like this. Lots of colour in that top corner. Fade it off. Lots of colour here. Fade it off so it looks like it's catching the light in the middle. It gives the impression that it's silvery. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Leave a little white gap at the sides. But in our windows we're going to do a nice jolly yellow colour. We're going to use this cadmium yellow that we used for our flowers. I'm going to put that inside. Make it look like the lights are on. It's a nice little welcoming space for anyone who wants to visit or for someone coming home after a long day. There we go. And what I'm also going to do is I want to burnish the curtains a bit, so I'm going to use the light cadmium yellow over these. You'll see why in a minute. There we go. Now we're going to do our little snail friend. He's very small. Snail body, usually a warm grey. I think I used the warm grey 4. Make him a little bit darker at the bottom. A bit lighter on the top there. There we go, he's pretty teeny. Now he has a stripe. So what colour stripe should we do him? Well, I think I will do the burnt sienna. I don't know what that banging noise is. Now I would like to do him so that the shell looks a bit more 3D in shape, but he's so small that I'm just filling in the gaps. But his other colour is going to be a lot lighter. I'm going to use the burnt ochre. Again, we're using all the same colours for this one. I think it just ties it all together better. I can hear lots of very noisy birds flying over. Now what I'm going to do to make it look slightly more 3D is to take the dark sepia, which I can't find, there it is, dark sepia, and just go around the curve of the shell to create what looks like a shadow and the outside. It just makes it look slightly more 3D. Okay, now we're just going to finish our windows and then we're going to finish for today. I spent a lot of time working on one little bit, but it doesn't matter. This is the Languo white, and we're going to put some shine on the windows like this. Try not to go onto a frame like I did. There we go. Don't rub it off with your finger, she says as she rubs it off with her finger. There we go. So there is our first little bit done. I say little bit, but there is the beginning of the page. It wants to curl, doesn't it? It doesn't sit nicely, this page. But anyway, there we are. So we're going to do the other toadstool tomorrow, and then we'll start on probably some sort of leaves, I would imagine. I'm just trying to tip it up there so it sits flat. There we are. The hair I'll leave for a bit. I need to do some research on what colour to do it. I don't know what colour I did it last time, and so I'll probably leave that for a bit. And the same with the butterflies. I'll probably sort of decide on florals and butterfly colours together. But there we are. There is our first part. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that, and thank you, Linda, for commissioning that one. We will carry on in the next video. But for now, thank you so much, and happy colouring.